Live from the Vegas Video Network studios, just steps from the Las Vegas Strip, it's Top of the Food Chain. And now your host, he's 1 part Mohawk, 2 parts attitude, and a touch of what the f***. It's Al Mancini.
Yes. Applaud, people, please. God. Wow. And yes, I am your host, Al Mancini. You are on Top of the Food Chain on the Vegas Video Network, and I'm having one of those weeks that's just too damn busy to come up with a joke to open with. So tune in next week. I'll have one. Anyway, in the meantime, you're watching the Vegas Video Network. This is Top of the Food Chain, and we are the home of all cool Las Vegas programming, thanks to my boy Scott over there in the back. And you can find it all at vegasvideonetwork.com. We've got about 8 or 9 shows going on over there. You can find them all on iTunes. You can find them on YouTube. You can listen to us at KSHP AM every Friday night, except for the people that curse a lot. Apparently, Scott takes them off. He doesn't put the ones with the foul mouth, so I'm going to have to behave myself today. If you're listening on KSHP AM, you can give a call. We won't answer it live, but we'll answer it next week. It's 866-966-4599. I've yet to get a call. Seriously, talk dirty to me, people. I just need something. I need some kind of love. I need something coming from that listener line, because nothing. You can also email for future shows, and that is food@vegasvideonetwork.com. Don't talk dirty there, but if you want to send Anthony Weiner-like pictures, that's fine. We're cool with that. We'll show them even, because that's not on the radio, and we're allowed to show that. But if you are listening, watching, and doing the whole thing right now, you are lucky bastards, because it is live chat going on. I've got John Curtas here, and we all hate him, so you've got to have something nasty to say about him. I also have Chef Gary Lamorte. I have Jolene from Sloppi Joe's. We're talking food trucks. We're talking world's great chefs. We are talking idiot food journalists, and you can decide which one it is, me or John. There's going to be a lot going on, so get in the chat room right now. In the meantime, Scott, do I need to plug anything else? Roku?
That was good. Roku's good.
We got all kinds of stuff. So, Scott, how are you?
Again, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I live a happy life with happy people around me. And people drinking. I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah, well, you know, why would we be here if you didn't have booze, Scott?
Exactly.
And why would you have me on the show if I didn't occasionally bring booze?
Usually people won't hang out with me unless I provide them booze.
Yes. So how was your week, man?
Good, busy. We're rehearsing a new show for the network, a 5-day-a-week show. So we've been rehearsing like crazy on that. And
so us once-a-weekers are going to be kind of relegated to no attention from Daddy anymore?
Oh, no. I have plenty of attention for you, my brother. I'm watching you like a hawk.
It's because I always bring the booze, Scott.
That's it, baby.
That's why. So, well...
As a matter of fact, I'm still drinking the beer from last week.
Oh, in the big growler? Yeah, that he told you not to keep for more than 16 hours.
What are you going to do?
Well, Bubba, sorry about that, man. I tried to teach this guy some
It was good beer, too.
Yeah, I mean, those are great beers over at Barley's.
Did you have some?
So, I don't know. I really want to get to the show, man. I've had a great week. Frank Savoy got married. I didn't see you there.
I wasn't invited.
Yeah.
Again, if I don't bring booze, nobody invites me anywhere.
It's a select ticket, man. It was great. Guy Savoy was there. Big news, release party for my new book is going to be held on November 14th at Restaurant Guy Savoy. And Guy personally changed his schedule so he could be there. And people, the reason I'm telling you this, well, because I feel really cool. But the other reason I'm telling you about this is if you're doing nothing else today, Dish of Las Vegas is happening at the Palms. It's $150 if you buy tickets at the door, $100, I don't know if you can still get them online for that price. 23 great restaurants, and you can bid in the silent auction for 2 tickets to come to the the book release party at Restaurant Guy Savoy. So, Scott, you going to come over and put a couple grand down on that?
I don't have any booze, so no.
Okay. Anyway, people, get to Dish. We've got guests. Scott, seriously, anything we need to talk about, or can I just get to people that have things?
Let's bring these people on, baby.
Okay, let's hit the promo and let's do it, man.
Hi, I'm Chris Phillips from Talk Tales, and you're watching the Vegas Video Network. And if you stop by the studio, our producer Scott's going to buy everybody a drink.
And we are back. Wow, Scott, you're doing well with the feedback there, man. Woo, metal! Anyway, I am back. This is Top of the Food Chain Vegas Video Network with perhaps the loveliest guest I've ever had.
Oh.
And another guy. I've got Jolene from Sloppy Joe's, one of the coolest food trucks here in town.
Thank you.
And I've got Gary Lamorte, one of my absolute favorite chefs on the entire planet, formerly of Andre's. And where is he of now? Well, we're about to tell you. Gary, do we have an announcement?
Yeah, I'm very, very fortunate in the fact that I was offered a really great opportunity with the Mina Group, and very excited to bring some of what we're doing in Las Vegas on a regular basis to the rest of the country. They're going to be traveling with their corporate team.
So, guys, Gary Lamorte is the man who, Andre Rachat is a Vegas legend, but when you worked for Andre at Andre's restaurant in the Monte Carlo, you really transformed his cuisine, and you made it hip, cool, trendy, experimental, and now you're going to work for Michael Mina, and you're going to be taking that thing nationwide, man.
Yes.
Yes. And in the meantime, Jolene made food trucks sexy.
I think so.
There were no sexy food trucks. I like Rick of Rich Sliding Through, but when I see him, those glasses just, I don't know, they don't have me in the same mood as when I see you slaving over.
Bit?
Yeah, I don't sweat nearly as much when I see him as when I see you. And I've got you guys here for a reason together, and I want to talk about a bunch of things. But let's talk about what you do on Saturday nights, because we think food trucks, and that's sort of like, you know, that's lowbrow cuisine. And then we think Gary's, and that's highbrow cuisine, and you're bringing them both together.
Trying to. I started the truck stop, the Saturday night truck stop, and I'm trying to do something that I would want to go to myself. I want to see chefs battling, you know, and wonderful chefs. So it's fun for me because they're making a dish for food critics and guests out of the audience and whomever we choose, and then I get to eat it myself. So I'm a happy person.
And this happens every Saturday. You go down to Tommy Rockers, the original Tommy Rockers, which is kind of under
on
the
Dean Martin.
Yeah, Dean Martin.
Yep.
But it's sort of like you drive as if you're going to the Rio, and then you just make a quick right, and you're there.
Right there.
And it spent a little time trying to be a strip club, but that didn't work out. But
Not
Tommy
so much.
Rockers, a classic place. If you like bad '80s metal, Tommy's always in there playing it, and it's a lot of fun. And you get about 5 food trucks in there every Saturday night.
Yep.
From like 10 to 4?
10 to 4 o'clock in the morning. We rotate them. Our busiest time is at 1:30 in the morning. And then we're adding the competition in there. So we're at the bar. We've got great beer specials. We have
We're
Sierra
very
Nevada.
at the bar. Always
We're
at the bar.
Sierra Nevada, New Belgium, they pour $3 drafts for us, and then I rotate the trucks. So every week there's a variety of food. And then in the middle of it, anybody that really wants to throw down can do it at any time. We had an impromptu battle last week, and then our executive chef edition is as often as I can make it happen.
Yeah, and this, guys, this is serious. This is the place where serious chefs go when they get off work.
Right.
I mean, I stopped by, and there's the guys from Guy Savoy hanging out,
Right.
the entire Mina Group, your new
Yes.
bosses, they're all hanging
Yeah.
out. Gary, you've been down to it. I mean, this is where the guys that work the real kitchens go to get a little tipsy and have
Right.
a little good time when
Yeah.
they get off work.
They love it.
And now, Jolene, being as beautiful as she is, because I could never pull this off, gets some of these guys that are the world's greatest chefs and gets these suckers to get in a hot, sweaty food truck
Right.
and do a kind of battle of the chefs
Yeah.
in food trucks.
Right. Secret ingredients. They don't know what's going on. They have 30 minutes. It's, you know, it's sweating because it's tight in there. It's hot and tight in there, but they have a blast.
Really? You know I'm not allowed to be dirty. We're going to be on the radio, and Jolene's talking hot and tight.
That's chefs specialize in that.
Chefs specialize in hot and tight. Gary, you've been down to these events, man?
Yeah, I think it's a great time. When I initially heard about it, I kind of had to go. The talent pool on both sides of the fence are excellent. The food is really good, and it's surprising to see the amount of people and the establishments they're coming from, and I think that this event kind of personifies and exemplifies everything that's really great about living and working in Vegas. The density of the talent and passion that's here is different than any of the other 10 cities I've lived and worked in.
People wouldn't expect to see chefs from Guy Savoy hanging out eating food
And
truck
they
food
come
after
every
work,
week.
or the Mina Group, or any of these places. I mean, it's considered, unheard of. You're supposed to be, dirty little food truck girl,
Right.
which we love you for, and you're supposed to be fine dining boy. But it really crosses over here in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, honestly, there's really not that. The divide is blurring. What fine dining is, what casual dining is.
Could you tell that
what-
to John Curtas? He's
what-
going to be on soon because he doesn't like the divide blurring.
I was having a conversation last night with Brian Howard, who's the chef over at Comsa, who's I'm competing against on Saturday night.
Yes,
We have
we're
some
definitely gonna
exciting
plug that.
surprises for you guys, so you guys should come check that out. And it was about the divide. And there's products that you're seeing now transcend all different levels of restaurants that used to be solely for the nicest restaurants. And I think it has a lot to do with transportation, becoming more efficient, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that just because you have a nice restaurant, a nice location, I think that doesn't mean a whole lot anymore.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. From your point of view, I mean, you've worked at Andre's, you're going to work for the Mina Group. People are forecasting the death of fine dining. A lot of people tell me all the time that it is the new future is food trucks. How do you feel about it? Are we dead with the the multi-course meal and the Michael Mina trios and all of this stuff?
Absolutely not. But I think what we're going to see is greater value, more opportunity. I think that you find restaurants now that are doing $60 5-7 course menus that are excellent, truly amazing. And I think that there will always be fine dining, but it's always been a very small percentage of the population that actually dines there. But what I do see is the increase in quality of food on all levels. What's happening now on some of the food trucks is surprisingly delicious and ingenious and inventive. And I think in the casual dining world, we're seeing a lot of places that would be considered a bistro or a brasserie, and the stigmas that go with that. But go in and look at those menus. Go try the food. Some people, Brian at Comsa, it's spectacular.
Well, I had Lindsay Whipple on as a sommelier, and she's over at Cut, and she told my viewers, and I think very important. She's like, yes, I sell $500 bottles of wine, but when I'm at home, I drink a $14 bottle of wine. And I think that's what people don't understand when they see chefs. And by the way, Jolene, I mean, you work at some incredible restaurants over the years. You worked at Nine Steakhouse, STK, I mean, some incredible places. And people sort of think that, these guys are my guests. You're going to think, oh, you only eat super fine dining. But at the end of the day, chefs and somms and servers at the world's best restaurants really want to go and have good value for their money because you ain't making $1 million bucks,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
We're all on the same level,
We're all looking for a deal, for sure.
Yeah.
The tastiest food on the planet is peasant food.
Right. And so, Joe, how'd you get into the food truck thing, and what was it like being a woman running it? Because obviously, you got a really sexy logo.
Yeah.
Well, you're a really sexy woman, of
Thanks.
course, and you got a really sexy logo. But is it a boys' club to any extent?
I never really felt that way. I mean, it kind of comes across a little bit that way, but no one made me feel uncomfortable or anything like that. I mean, I work really hard, and I think everybody sees what I do, and it's all good. I started doing this because I did want to lead into my own place, and I thought it was a great stepping stone and learning experience for myself to see if I had what it takes, to work that hard to make it happen, and of course to get my name out there. So, I decided to do it, and I put it together in 8 months, and I went out there and I balls to the wall ever since.
Is the food truck thing over? I mean, that's what everybody asks me every day.
I don't know. In part of my mind at first, I was a little worried about it because it's a different market here to tackle. I think that we have to focus a little bit more on catering and special events to make the money that we have to make to keep going, just because the majority of our population and the community in this town is on the Strip. That's where everyone's walking, and we really can't be there to sell the food. But at the same time, going out to...
Those guys can dress up like Wonder Woman, and they can be on the Strip.
And they can be, but I
there.
can't, right? For 30 minutes I can be, but it's really not quite enough time. So I started to promote the Saturday Night Truck Stop, and I'm going to all these restaurants and talking to chefs and bartenders, and then I realized how many people in town have no idea even that there are food trucks. I couldn't believe it. So then I was like, well, maybe it is a little untapped, and maybe people aren't fully aware of exactly what we're doing and what we are producing, and that I am serving a great product, and I am serving organic chicken, and I'm serving a product that I get once a year that's special. And like, people just don't know that, and they see it and they pass by, but they don't take the minute maybe to stop because they just don't fully realize what's going on. So there's, you know, I think there's still room to grow.
Well, I think we got growth from the chat line, Scott. We got somebody that has a question?
Yeah, Bill wants to know, is Jolene going to move towards the brick and mortar thing, like sliding through?
Right. I am definitely considering it. It's something that I would not actually be in the back of the house. I would take, you know, I'd be the front of the house for sure, definitely. But I have a chef in mind that wants to do something together.
Yeah, that's my phone. Sorry, that's the barking dog sound is my phone. Oh. Yeah, we do this with high-end.
You'll get your chance.
High-end audio. Yeah, John, we'll talk to you later. But okay, so this is what makes it fun. I'm the Uncle Floyd of food television.
Awesome.
So Joe, why front of the house as opposed to back of the house? You just tired of slaving over one of those stoves?
A little bit. It's not something that, I mean, I love to cook for friends and for maybe 50 people, but the masses is not really exactly what I want to do. I feel like I'm more, you know, interacting with people, and I'm very, you know, I've been in the restaurant business for 15 years, and I've always been front of the house. So I think that I have that, you know, knowledge and whatever to know what people, like, you know, what they want, basically.
And front of the house.
To keep them happy.
Front of the house to people out there is basically the people that you see when you go into a restaurant.
Right.
Anybody you see is in the front of the house. Yes.
Right.
And
the
then
face of the company.
Back of the house is what we call degenerates like Gary, who hang out in a kitchen and.
I stick my head out now and then.
You do for special guests, pretty much, right? Gary, how do you feel? I mean, just because we're talking front of the house, back of the house now. How do you feel about the way that chefs have kind of come to the front of the house in recent years? And I mean, you know, everybody says it was started with Bocuse, but, you know, it's definitely become pretty popular.
I think people are wanting, I think expectations for the entire industry are increasing. And I think people want, part of the experience they're looking for now is a relationship with the maitre d' or the general manager or the chef. You know, it's, it certainly makes people feel special, and I think that not having a third party involved with the communication is very helpful. You know, sometimes. Yeah. And obviously, like, I personally enjoy hospitality very much, so it's really gratifying to have positive conversations and, you know, relay that feedback to the fish cook or whoever is appropriate.
Well, guys, I know this has been a little kind of all over the board because I'm talking to people from two very different types of food. But let's remind everybody, this Saturday night.
Yep.
And Gary, you don't actually have a day job, so you don't even have to worry about waking up for it. You're you're just gonna wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Our mutual friend Brian Howard, who I know you've been friends with for a long time, from Comme Ça over at the Cosmopolitan, David Meyer's restaurant, but Brian is the guy running it day to day. You two are going to throw down in a food truck. Have you ever been in a food truck before? Inside. And not having, you know, not just making out with the chef or anything.
Nope.
No. So what do you think, man? Tell him, warn him. What's he got to expect?
Well, I mean, I know, because when I spoke to the two of them before at one of the last ones, they were like, do you think we could maybe battle on the same truck? And I was like, I don't think you really want to do that. There's really no room on that truck to be sharing space to try to find things. And I know you want to make it difficult, but it is. It's a tight spot to be in.
She just keeps setting me up, and I can't knock them down.
Can't do anything about it. I know. Sorry.
So you're going to have Brian and Gary. About what time?
Around 1:30.
Okay.
So we want all the restaurants to be off of work. We want their staffs to be able to support them, to be there. So 1:30 is about a great time on a Saturday night to get it started. So, and we give them 5 minutes to look at all the trucks. They can go inside, see what ingredients are there, if there's a fryer working, a steam table, you know, whatever.
It doesn't matter if there's a fryer. It's just if it's working.
Absolutely,
right?
it may not be
try
on.
Everything out.
So you better be ready, because every day is a new challenge on a food truck. So they'll have 5 minutes to check it out. Then they'll flip for the truck that they get, and then we'll supply them with the secret ingredients. And Chef Joshua Smith from Milo's is picking the ingredients because he won the last battle. So you'll have that, and you'll have 30 minutes to go for it.
With his fish the other day. I was holding his fish in a very lovely. I tried to make out with one of his lobsters, but it didn't work.
But keep the rubber bands on.
Yeah. No, actually, this is spiny lobster, so no claws.
Yeah, no claws.
Okay, well, look, we have to go. Here's the thing. I got the world's biggest jackass, John Curtas, coming on in a second. And the thing that makes him a big jackass this week is he doesn't like people with tattoos in nice restaurants. You guys have tattoos?
I have a tattoo.
Anything you could show us?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
let's see.
okay.
No.
It's on my left ass cheek.
Now we
but-
have to. Now we
Oh,
have
I'm
to.
just joking.
we will see it. John doesn't mind tattoos when they're on hot women's left ass cheeks. Gary?
I just got one little one.
Yeah, one little
It
one.
would
That's your
involve
whole
me
side.
getting mostly naked, yes.
Do you think chefs are going to spit in John Curtis's food now that he says he doesn't like tattoos?
No.
No? Well, I think they are. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. I got John. Guys, we got a message, and we'll be coming back with John Curtas. Thanks.
Livestream is your premier place to watch live events on the web, mobile devices, and connected TVs. See new events daily or broadcast your own at livestream.com. Livestream. Be there.
And we are back, VegasVideoNetwork.com. Wow, that thing just keeps going with the feedback. And yes, I was pouring Jolene a little shot because she was happy to be off the air. Guys, if you follow me on Facebook or if you read anything that I do, you know that the nemesis, the most evil part of my life, is a gentleman named John Curtas. Somebody said today, he runs the website Eating Las Vegas. He's co-author of my book, Eating Las Vegas. Somebody said today that having him on my show is going to be similar to professional wrestling. I have to tell you, it is not like professional wrestling. John and I go out together. John and I are friends together. We like to eat together, and yet every nasty thing we say about each other is honest to God true. I think he's an ass. I think he represents everything that is wrong with old school fine dining, and I'm still happy to call him my friend. John, welcome to the show.
I'm speechless.
It's true. We do not agree on what
We don't
defines
agree
fine.
on the time of day because you're wrong most of the time.
You know, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Well, I'm not sure when it comes to you, Al, but what do you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about why you're an ass. I seriously want to talk about this.
Do you mean because I know what I'm talking about, I'm an ass, or because I just disagree with you, I'm an ass?
Okay, I think you are the antithesis of everything I've tried to do with this program, everything that I've tried to do with food in general. I want fine dining, all-world dining, to be accessible to everyone, and I don't like snobs who try to keep people out of it and try to intimidate people, and I think that's what you do.
No, I don't think that's what I do at all. I think what I think is that at a certain level of dining, there is a certain level of decorum that it's an agreement, it's a contract, if you will, between a restaurant and a chef and a front of the house personnel to put out their very best in terms of cutlery and stemware and the top shelf booze and
here,
wine.
let's have some top shelf booze.
I'll save that because if I got drunk with you, then we really would have a knife fight. But I think there's a certain expectation and there's a social contract there. And your relentless idea that we have to be out there challenging it, pushing the envelope and looking crazy and tattoos all over the place. And why doesn't Joel Robuchon think that I'm a great guy if I want to come in and cut off shorts and a hat backward and a sleeve tattoo?
You
know
are
what?
wrong.
That violates the very social contract of fine dining.
You know, John,
the food should be for everybody, but at some point you have got to agree that if they're putting forth their best as a diner, as a critic, as a writer, you need to put forth your best.
John, the very first time that I was supposed to meet Joel Robuchon,
What?
he was told by some of his people that they didn't want him to meet me because of the way that I looked. They didn't think, they were saying exactly what you're saying. You know what happened? I met Joel on my own, and now when I see Joel Robuchon, people, he Facebooks his picture of himself with me. Joel Robuchon likes me. He doesn't give a crap what my hair looks like, or maybe he enjoys the way my hair looks. I dress up for dinner. I dress appropriately, and you don't want people like me in the room.
Al, come on. Would you want to be in a dining room at Joel Robuchon or Guy Savoy or Gary Lamorte's restaurant or STK with a group of biker dudes and goth chicks and tattooed
John, how do you
people in T-shirts.
First of all, no, not in a T-shirt. I would never go to Joel.
Well, you would,
you
because
have dined out with me.
You do have half a brain. I'll give you that. But if what you're saying is allowed to go crazy, then we're going to have nothing but Vince Neil, lookalikes invading restaurants. And you know what? They'll close up faster than a botulism.
So are you
place.
telling me that nobody with tattoos has class?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the people who look edgy like you do, and you pull it off because you're a smart guy, but the people who look like you, who mimic you, and there's a certain, let's say, lower rung of society who look that way, I don't care how much money they are. All they're going to do is bring everyone to be a race to the bottom. And I don't want to drink great wine and eat fabulous food like Gary Lamorte or Jolene cooks, around a bunch of degenerate dudes.
Could we please zoom in on John's half-ass beard right now?
Please.
For a guy that claims he has class, at least I dress up, and my beard is well groomed. You look like you got off a bender, John.
I kind of like this though. It gives me that kind of edgy, the most interesting man in the world look.
You look like
okay. All right, which I'm shooting for.
You look like you got off a bender.
Give me some freaking credit, okay?
I dress better than you at a typical restaurant. I act better than you.
Let's get to something else, okay? Because
here's the thing. John Curtas went public this week, and it's on my Facebook page. Check it out. He said he didn't like the way that people with tattoos were eating breakfast, okay? Because of the way they were dressed and looking in a breakfast place in a 3-meal-a-day restaurant, okay? The funny thing is, people, the last time Michel Richard, who owns this restaurant, world-class chef, last time I saw Michel Richard and John Curtas in the same room, they were horrifyingly misbehaving in a high-end restaurant, screeching at the top of their lungs along with
singing the French national anthem. What is more appropriate in Guy Savoy than singing the French national anthem?
You were horribly acting like asses.
I was a little intoxicated, I'll give you that.
So that, in Guy Savoy, bothering people spending $1,000 for their dinner, doesn't bother you, but someone simply having a nose ring, getting a breakfast bothers you in a Michel Richard restaurant? You're a hypocrite and an ass.
Can we just talk about food instead of how you? Just because you offend me by the way you look, talk about something we can agree on.
See what the people out there have to say.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you didn't need the drink.
Yeah, please carry anything.
Scott, what's going on?
At this point, okay? Nate says, girls, you're both pretty. He goes, how about food? Do you find the two of you have different tastes about food?
Well, this is actually seriously something about food because you have badmouthed the food truck movement. You do not like it when friends of ours like Kerry Simon...
Wrong again, Buffalo Breath. But go ahead, finish.
You don't like it when friends of ours like Kerry Simon go to comfort food. You think he should be doing fine dining. You don't seem to like comfort food.
I don't like it when chefs operate beneath their talent. That's what I don't like. And it pains me. I've never eaten Jolene's, let's say, other stuff she's done. But if a chef like Kerry Simon or Gary Lamorte decides to tries to do sloppy joes, no offense to sloppy Joe, or fancy hot dogs, that's like a concert violinist playing Turkey in the Straw in a bluegrass bar, okay?
I'd love
to
see that in a bluegrass bar.
Yeah, well, that offends me because I think they spend all this time. It's enormously hard to be a chef. We both, let's agree, we both have enormous respect for chefs and how hard they work and how hard they train. And when you see them at the top of their game and you know how hard they've worked, and then they decide, and I have good friends who shall remain nameless who have done this, who decide, you know what I want to do? I want to have a burger joint. I go, why? Because you're just cashing in. You cooked a foie gras and Garnier and Robichon, and now you want to cook hamburgers? I think you're doing yourself a disservice and all of chefs training a disservice.
How many days a year do you think the average person can eat at a Michelin-starred restaurant? And I'm not even talking about the money, simply for the ability to digest that level of food. We do it all the time. Regular people don't. They want regular food. They want Kerry Simon's meatloaf. They want Hubert Keller's hamburger.
I love Kerry, but his meatloaf isn't that good a meatloaf. It's not, okay?
It's pretty damn good.
It's not that good. I mean, Kerry is... I told Kerry once, if I had a Last Supper, Kerry Simon would be one of the guys I might want cooking it. The guy...
You just wouldn't eat anything at his restaurant.
I wouldn't eat anything at his restaurant. I wouldn't. It's a good restaurant, but Kerry's just sort of going through the motions, I have good friends who do that. My friend Laurent Turndale, who I love like a brother, You know, this guy could cook with anybody, but he prefers to do downscale food. It makes him money, but I think, again, he's like Yo-Yo Ma playing, playing on a background for a Tim McGraw album.
So if you had it, you would eat every. By the way, a lot of people out there might like Tim McGraw.
Well, I don't. Okay, sorry. Okay.
So you would eat Michelin-starred cuisine every day of the week if you had the choice?
I wouldn't. But I could eat French food half the time.
Okay, so bistro food's okay with you?
I love bistro food. Love bistro food.
Okay, so as long as it's
But my
French
favorite
and
every day.
snotty, you're okay with comfort food. And you also love steakhouses. So maybe if it's French, snotty, or overpriced, you like it.
You persist in thinking that I'm a snob. I like Sloppy Joe's food as well as any.
When's the last time you went to her food truck?
She can swear. Maybe it was a month ago. Maybe 6 weeks ago. Yes.
Okay.
She does New Mexican. Well, I hate all cupcakes.
So why'd you have one?
Don't talk about cupcakes. Oh, I hate cupcakes. Cupcakes are I got over cupcakes when I was 10.
We have a question from the much smarter masses out there.
All right.
Scott.
Yeah, Bill wants to know if John were to create his own restaurant and one that was available to most folks, what would that look like?
It'd be empty.
That's a great question. Well, I would have a no douchebag sign on the door, okay? Number one, all right? We'd get that out of the way right away.
So, but clean shavenness would not be a response.
Well, what I would have a chef like Gary doing what I would call very much a bistro type menu. I mean, I like the simple roast chicken and steak frites and things like that. Just tweaked to where they kind of sing, good vegetables, but done in a classic, but a pure kind of way.
Can I point out that you've never had Gary's food because you were banned from the restaurant he used to work in?
I know.
Because you're such a rude bastard that they won't let you in his restaurant?
Gary didn't ban me from his restaurant.
No, he didn't. His boss
Andre
did.
Rochat banned me because he's a little jerk. Okay?
So, John...
You want me to tell you? You want me to tell you something that'll get the phones ringing right here? Right
we
now?
don't have any phones, but go for it.
Okay, all right. You want to tell me something? And I wouldn't say this if Gary was still working there, because I have a lot of respect for the guy. Okay, but when Andre threw me out of his restaurant in 2000, I think it was, because I'd written this glowing review. I mean, it was. If you ever read it, it's 1,000 words of a BJ. Okay, and then in one paragraph, I say.
I prefer no words in my BJs. But.
Okay, well, it was in one paragraph. I write. I asked the waitress if it was a frozen fish. It kind of tasted a little off, a little, rethought. And the waitress agreed it was frozen. Said sheepishly, I said that, and I said, and he's getting $140 for a bottle of wine that really is worth about $50. Okay, he went ballistic on this. So when I go up to Alizé, he sees me and he goes, "You get out of my restaurant. You get out of mine. I don't want you." I go.
How many restaurants are you banned from?
Few. Okay. So he says this to me. And what he says is, I go, "Fine, Andre." I start to argue with him. He turns around to walk out, and he kind of leads me out, but he's in front of me, and he's walking towards the door. This is at 5:15 in the afternoon. The restaurant is empty. He had the worst BO I have ever smelled on a human being in my life.
Yeah, you don't get this anybody else's show, people.
All right.
You do not get this anybody else's show.
This was dead horse on top of a human refuse dump body odor.
Scott, did we have him sign a release that says I'm not responsible for anything that he says?
I have never gone public with that. My girlfriend and maybe Max Jacobson has heard that story, and no one else.
I've heard it about 6 times.
Okay, well, now everybody has heard it. Okay, so, and I remember thinking, thanks for throwing me out, because if you get anywhere near the food that's coming out of the kitchen, I don't want your perfume.
At the end of the day, though, you don't like restaurants like Payman's. You don't like restaurants like Firefly. You don't like local restaurants where
they use cheap food and they don't treat it with respect. Yes, Jolene uses inexpensive food and she makes it sing. Her New Mexican chilies are fabulous, but Payman's, Firefly use cheap food. Okay. They use low rent kitchen talent. And they just
I got a question, and I just want the public to answer this one. Well, you got a photo up there that I sent you earlier, Scott. John is singing the praises of Jolene, and because she's drop dead gorgeous. In the meantime, John, who went public and said he didn't like tattoos, posed for this picture. Do we have this? We don't. No, it was a perfect picture.
You mean the one of me with Heidi's gorgeous. I mean, you know.
with a hot girl with tattoos, you're
Right,
fine.
It's a hot girl. I'm okay with anything.
So
okay?
you're a bigger lecher than you are a bigot, and you think that makes you okay.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Mancini. As cute as Jolene is, I would have interviewed her and not told her 18 times how beautiful she is, okay? I mean, I wanted to roll your tongue back in your head a few times when she was right here. I'm telling you.
You're not doing anything to my tongue or my head.
Okay,
Scott, questions.
I think D. Bass is about ready to get into the thick of it here.
Okay, let's do it.
He said, is LV Weekly comparable to John's writing skills, or is he slumming it? Shouldn't he be writing for a gourmet or something like that?
Well, fair question. You're writing for an alternative weekly. I write for an alternative weekly, but I kind of look alternative and weekly.
Well, I'm writing where the money is. So, if you want to know the truth, I mean, this town, I mean, the media, it was one thing I think you and I really do agree on. The food media in this town is woefully ignored. The RJ basically pays no attention to it at all. They have their reviewer who goes out and just reviews little breakfast places in Sun City crap.
I actually want to get back to that. But answer the gentleman's question or the lady's question.
But I'm not slumming it. I'm trying to raise the level of what people do, you know, read it and think about food. Yeah, you're right. If I had, my dream job would be as the RJ restaurant reviewer, but they're so unredeemably lowbrow that
how do you feel about
they're never
the
going to hire me.
How do you feel? Now, let's just piss off everybody. How do you feel about the fact that the Review Journal is out there? It's got Heidi Napronella. I have nothing personally against her. She uses
she's a nice lady.
Far too many hyphens, but other than that, she's hyphen happy.
She writes down to her audience because they're all the coupon clippers.
But you know, I was told by a Michelin-starred restaurateur that Heidi once said, "I won't review your restaurant because my readers don't go there." If you are the paper of record. And I'm not going to say what restaurant it is, but let's just throw a couple of Guy.
She's never been to Guy Savoy.
Guy,
She's never been there. No.
Places like that. How can you be writing for the RJ and not go to restaurants like that?
Yeah, because, and again, this is what our colleague, and I think we've talked about this in the book, Max says this all the time. Writers should be trying to raise the level, talk up to their audience, and say, like you say, you're trying to make great food accessible to the masses. Even in writing, you should say, look, you may be eating there, but aspire to something greater. If you're going to eat chicken, don't eat Payman's. If you're going to eat a kebab, don't eat a Payman's kebab. There are better kebabs in town.
I think Payman's makes a good kebab.
Okay, well, that's okay. We won't argue about that. But I'm saying that's a cop-out. That sounds exactly like something the RJ would say or Heidi would say, and it's a complete cop-out.
I mean, the Review Journal is the New York Times of this town.
Yeah,
okay, this town's not New York, but it is the New York Times of this town. And guys, if you're at the Review Journal, seriously, I have nothing against Heidi, but why don't you hire someone who actually feels like dining is an art form and is willing to bring it to that level?
It's really not Heidi Napronella's fault. What it is it's the editors and the publisher of the RJ's fault. It's not her fault. She's being told to say things like that and review these crappy little lunch places and say, okay, that's what her readers want to read about. Well, you know, she might have more readers if she wrote about if she covered food trucks, if she talked about everything from burgers to Joel Robuchon.
I want to talk about another little online feud you and I are having because we seem to have
with our
about five.
feuds, okay?
No, it's not. No tattoos. You just talked about how DJing is not an art form today. You posted it on Facebook and how much it sucked. Now, I have right up on my website, it went up today, go to almancini.net, any of you, please go to the part for Dining Invasion. I have Hubert Keller talking about how he brought DJs.
I need a drink now.
How Hubert Keller, this is yours, I poured it for you.
Well, I need more of a drink now, okay?
Hubert Keller brought DJs into fine dining. Hubert is a friend of both of ours.
We love Hubert.
We've seen him within the past week. He believed that DJ culture and fine dining could cross over. Now, why are you such an ass that you're just going to insult DJs for no good reason when people in the fine dining world have been embracing them for the better part of a decade?
You know what you do, Al Mancini? What you do is you like...
I quote you. Yes, you hate that. I know.
You like to take something I say that's maybe a personal opinion and then think that I'm applying it in some broad brushstroke to everybody. I have a philosophical problem with DJs being music stars because I don't think they do that much. What did I say? I think, well, don't you agree with this? What do they do? If DJs are stars, then waiters should be stars.
So what would you say?
DJs just hand you the music and go,
Jolene's a waitress. She's a star.
Right. Well, then Jolene should be on a billboard. She's good looking enough to be on a billboard. But I mean,
hey, roll your tongue back in your mouth.
Okay. I'm not. At least I don't have drool coming down my mouth like you did. Okay, but all DJs do is just roll out the music that other people play. All waiters do is bring you music the food that someone else cooked, and they're these big stars. You know, DJ Master Sphincter is playing at Hard Rock this week. You know, who gives a crap?
So what would you say to
know?
Hubert about bringing DJs into the dining room?
I think DJs after hours, Hubert gives the greatest party on earth, and I love Hubert's party. But I don't think this whole I'm a star. Ooh, look at me. Ooh, I got two turntables I can go back and forth between. That's the biggest bunch of crap I've ever heard.
John, you know what? In the old days, in your day, you had to have an orchestra to have a band. And then rock and roll was invented because kids couldn't afford an orchestra. They could only afford a guitar.
Point well taken.
And then eventually, hip-hop started because guys in the certain neighborhoods could not afford a guitar, so they only had two turntables and a microphone. Okay? That's how people that aren't as wealthy and snotty as you get to express themselves. And we've got a question.
Back to food, maybe. Maya wants to know, how do they feel about something like spring preserves or hash house a go-go? Oh, God. You gotta take that shot.
Get a shot of that.
Why?
Yeah.
I think Springs Preserve. I think
Jerry.
I think Wolfgang's doing a good job at Springs Preserve.
There's a nice, well, it's pretty pedestrian, but it's okay.
It is average food. Now, how do I feel about Hash House A Go-Go? Honestly, I think the gimmick of making super retardedly gigantic food is a bit of a gimmick. I think the food there is decent.
For once, we agree. Yes.
Okay.
Just a gimmick. It's just a gimmick. I mean, Americans love that crap with this, overabundance of stuff, and all they do at Hash House A Go-Go, they just make this giant everything, and they put a big rosemary sprig.
Giant rosemary sprig right in the middle of everything, man.
Cooking. I'd like to see what Gary and Jolene. Gourmet. We have a fritter rosemary.
You could not cook one of those dishes on a food truck.
You could
not. It would just be too big.
It's ridiculous.
You'd need a food bus.
So what was the question again?
What do we think about Springs Preserve and Hash House A Go-Go?
Well, I think they're okay, but I mean, I would never send anyone. As much as I love Wolf's restaurants, I think he does a great job. It's probably my least favorite of all of his stores in town.
I like the fact that much like most of his places, it is sustainable. It is cruelty-free.
Yeah.
If you're going to be at a park,
you want to talk about that now?
If you're going to be at a park and your kids are petting the bunnies, I'd like to know that the rabbit I'm eating didn't die a horrible, horrible death.
All animals die. We murder them all.
They don't have to die horribly.
But we murder them all. Why do some murders okay and others not?
Okay, here's the deal, dude. If I were, I watched a TV show the other night where they covered a guy in fire ants and that the fire ants bite him to death, or if they shot you quietly back in the head, which way would you rather die? Thank you, Scott. Did we have another question,
As long as I had some Sailor Jerry rum, it wouldn't matter.
Hey, you know what? Actually, our good friend, mutual friends, Gino Bernardo, Gary, and Brian Howard have all shared pigs that were raised together and slaughtered together, and they were. I heard. Can we get cut to Gary? Gary, they were actually fed wine the day before you slaughtered that pig, right? He's not Mike. So just shake your head, yes or no.
Yes.
He shakes his head, yes.
Well, all chefs, I think, have.
Here you go.
All great chefs. I think all chefs have a real abiding respect for the animals. I've never known a chef who, like the Indians used to do, where they would pray over a dead deer or a dead cow or buffalo.
So Gary,
I think all chefs have that attitude toward the animals. Yeah.
For inviting me on that trip. Gino's the man.
Yeah, and you guys slaughtered the pig, but you made sure it was done humanely. And you know why, people? It's because humanely slaughtered animals taste better. It isn't because I'm a sweetheart and a nice guy. It is because of the fact that the endorphins that their bodies put off when they're going to slaughter in a painful
who gets my endorphins running? Jolene.
Put your tongue back in your mouth. Scott, another question, please.
The chat is like, could those two just kiss and make up? Because it's making us uncomfortable. No, Nate wants to know, John, what's your local favorite restaurant that most people don't know about?
Ooh, now that's a good question.
You want to talk about off-the-strip joints?
I think they're talking about off-the-strip because our on-the-strip stuff is so. J&J Szechuan on Spring Mountain Road. J&J Szechuan on Spring Mountain Road is a little place. It's right near Spring Mountain and Jones. The Szechuan food there is outstanding. I was there the other day, and a bunch of people from Lotus of Siam, a bunch of Thai people were in there, and they were eating there. I mean, the steamed fish with red chilies, the crispy intestines. I mean, it's just Chinese food on a whole different level.
Can I throw a couple other names out? I know that you didn't ask me, whoever that was, but Forte, I think we both love.
Forte we love. Beautiful.
China Mama, of course.
But everybody knows about that. I think they wanted like an obscure one. I mean, give me an obsure one that maybe.
Soyo. I don't think enough people know about
Soyo is great.
Soyo
yeah.
is great Korean food.
In fact, the chefs have adopted soyo the way they adopted raku a few years ago. Exactly.
So, a few answers.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, seriously, as much as I hate this bastard, he is a smart bastard.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Listen to me.
Yeah. We're having a great night. I got to get back. I'm doing a little work for charity tonight, and I'd love for the rest of you people to do a little work for charity. Come out to Dish of Las Vegas at the Palms
I'll
Pool.
swing by there right now to say hi.
And
as soon as I finish this bottle
of Cellar Jerry.
Jerry
And you know what we're auctioning off, though, John? I mean, this
What?
is important. We've got a book, copy of Eating Las Vegas, 2011. It's signed not only by the authors, it's signed by Guy Savoy, it's signed by Pierre Gagnère, it's signed by Rick Moonen, it is signed by Joël Robuchon. I mean, about 10 or 12 people have signed the book. And if you bid on that book, you also get 2 tickets to the release party. And how badass was our release party last year, man?
Well, last year we had Joel Robuchon cooking for us. This year we're having Guy
Savoy personally cooking.
I mean,
it's going to be November 14th, 2 tickets. I can't even invite my friends. Gary and Jolene aren't even on the guest list. And it's 2 tickets that are going to happen if you come by the
Jolene
auction.
could get on the guest list, but, you know, I think she has too much dignity for that.
I hope you were referring to yourself, Mr. I've been divorced 3 times. Now I know why. Guys, it's been a lot of fun.
All right, here's to you, my man.
Sorry for boring everybody with our personal squabbles, but I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'm Al Mancini. This is Top of the Food Chain. Buy our book, Eating Las Vegas, the 50 Essential Restaurants. Check John out online, eatinglv.com.
AlMancini.net.
AlMancini.net. We got tons of stuff going on, and you can actually go and watch Hubert Keller talk about DJing and prove what an ass John is.
I'm going to start dancing.
Cheers.